Well, there you are. Good morning. I apologise for that. We had, again, a technical error in the respect of the signal. So I've turned the phone to, I do it from my phone. So I've turned it to flight mode. Okay, I've turned it to flight mode. We should be having a call in this morning. I apologise for the delay, but it's just the way it is. Let me just see if I can get the live stream up on YouTube now as we speak. Videos, there we go. Live stream, 3 watching. Morning. We got 3 people watching, got 1 like. Morning, Steve. How's it going? Sick of lies there. Good to see you. I apologise for that, but we had a caller coming in as well. But what I've done to get a better signal, to ensure that it doesn't drop off, what I've actually done is I've gone to flight mode, like you do when you're away. I don't know if any of you guys actually use that system when you're on holiday. Turn it to flight mode. You don't want to incur those extra costs. And I just had this feeling that there was something that wasn't going right. Jake Taylor's just joined us. Jake Tyler, sorry Jake, my eyesight. 6 people joined this morning. As you join the live stream, if you can just give us a thumbs up. John Ward says, good morning, John Allison. John, I apologise for that. As you join, I want to just tell you what's been going on. 4 likes, let's get 4 likes. I don't care if we've had 1 viewer on this morning. Let's get the volume down on here at the moment. We had Nick calling us this morning, and I want to get Nick on because he's an amazing character, and he's gone through hell and back. We've got... there we are. I've got that. I can actually see people's comments now. It makes it a lot more easy. So what I've done now, I've actually gone to flight mode. So hopefully the signal will stabilise. Luke DeCosta's just joining. Good morning, Luke. How's it going? Luke, I just need to try and remember where you're from. 6 live viewers, 6 likes. That's what we want. Look, guys, thanks for joining this morning. As I've always said before, we've got to run through it. Saturday Morning Live is there to help you. It's to build a community, and it is about... building communities. And also the Saturday Morning Live is supported from the guys at ITS. They've got a bank holiday Easter deal on at the moment. Go over there and have a look. There's all sorts going on. My apologies for the dogs barking this morning, but there are a lot of people off, and they walk down by the river by us so we can hear them. When people are going by, we can hear them barking. So here we go. If you've got anything to say this morning, if you want to call in, hopefully we'll have Nick calling in this morning. We've got plenty to talk about. We're at work again, says Steve. He's at work. Steve, I want to sick of lies. I want to see what you're doing. John Ward says, living the dream. VAT, tax and invoices. Never mentioned this on the job interview. What an Easter. Yeah, absolutely. John, it's something that we have to do on the weekend, isn't it? And I'll be honest, I'll be totally honest with you. We have got a bookkeeper. We have got an accountant. And Alison's on the ball with all of it. She makes sure that all the returns are done on a regular basis. Hopefully we'll have Nick calling in this morning. It's interesting what John's doing there. It's great to have the contribution from John Ward, because all of you, in fact, certainly with John says, you know, what an Easter, lol. Yeah, absolutely. He's doing his VAT. But that's what we do to keep on top of business and to make sure that our business is successful. Success comes in many ways. That should be your account's job. Yeah, absolutely. The accountant's job, yeah, that's what Steve said. Maybe it should be. How many of you guys, I remember a guy years ago, a lad called Jez O'Brien. He used to arrive at the tax office with all his receipts, and he used to just pile it on the desk, and he told them that he couldn't read or write, and he'd ask them to help him to sort it out. And to be fair to the tax office, they did sort things out for him. They did help him turn up with all these receipts, and they ended up heading in the right direction. Henry Flint's joined us from Elite Stone Tools. Good to see Henry on here. Henry, we want to be good if you could share a little bit on your any of you guys that would like to share what you're actually doing. It'd be good to get a link up and post it. Sick of Life says, lol, they were the good old days. They were the good old days. That's how it was doing. I could never believe that Jez O'Brien, my old boss, one of my old bosses, not for a long time, he'd turn up at the tax office with all his receipts, and he used to claim for his dog. Yeah. Hey, what a conversation this morning. Jez O'Brien used to claim for his dog, and he said his dogs were a security component to his business. Any of you guys actually use that one? What can you claim for? John Ward, we want to hear off you. What can you claim for? Let me just go up there now. John Ward says, yeah, I'm in the office, lol, still at what we do, drive us to do it, and you won't succeed. My accountant does the rest. Yeah, you've got to do some. Your accountant, you get your accountant to do your tax return, but usually your bookkeeper will put all your books together, Our accountant uses a bookkeeper, but to be fair, Alison's on the ball with all of it. It's all there. It's all laid out. I know a lot of guys use computer systems. I claim for fridge in the office and food and takeaways, business treat. Yeah, I think that if you've got if you're using that business meeting you're having, you're buying food, you can claim for that as well. It's great how these live streams, there's no agenda what we're actually doing on the live streams on a regular basis about how we structure it. We come on here to have a very informal chat and see what people says. My accountant deals with law perfect for me. Yeah. Do you know, that's the thing, is that sometimes in business, but what Steve's saying there, he's delegating. It's not his thing. John's doing it. John's keeping his books down. But what John will do, he'll also keep an eye on the figures. It's so important to keep an eye on the figures and about what you're doing and make sure that you're a profitable business. We've got a caller coming in. Let's have a listen to it now. Here we go. Audio. Hello.
Hi, John.
Nick. Good to hear from you, sir.
And you.
I do apologise this morning. We had a bit. What happens, you see, Nick, is that we have got fibre in now. It's a great signal. But what was happening was that I wasn't making use of the internet, and I had to turn, because I stream from my phone like a lot of people do, and I had to turn it to flight mode. And hopefully now we won't get any interference. So, Nicholas McCarthy, tell us all a bit about you, where you're from, and what you do.
So I'm Nicholas McCarthy. I trade as Alexander John Garden Design and Maintenance, but can't do the maintenance now due to the heart surgery and the stroke. And I'm from Banbury in Oxfordshire, and been going about 23 years actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Just for our viewers now, this is Nick. We got Nicholas McCartney's joined us now, and good morning, Rob Fry. You've got a few viewers on here at the moment. What you've got to remember, Nick, is that people will play this back later. By the end of the week, we should have about 400 or 500 views on there. It is growing. Nick, are you a garden designer or a plantsman, or are you both?
I'm both.
You're both. And I've seen your work. What's your passion? What's your drive, Nick, behind what you do? Why do you love the industry that you're in?
Can you say that again?
I was saying, what's your drive and what's your passion? Why do you love the industry that you're in? Why is it so special?
Because it's outside. I love being outside in the fresh air and seeing the seasons. And I'm always learning something new, particularly with plants. And since lockdown, there's a lot of frustrated gardeners, and the industry has had to adapt, and it's learning. You keep learning new stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. That's admirable words, because the thing is, we don't know it all. We keep learning all the time. You've got your client base in the jobs that you do are a little bit different from, let's say, dare I say, an average landscaper.
Yeah, that's very true. So my client base is dedicated to more creative elements of the landscaping profession. So I know that you've got a particular member called Lorna
yes,
on the group, and she's very orientated around my side of the industry. But yeah, it's very creative element. So I'm more interested in planting schemes and getting colour coordinations to work together.
Okay.
So planting plans is my forte.
Yeah. So basically, when we join this industry we love and we want to get involved in it. What you'll have is one part of the industry. You'll have those guys that will come in and they'll want to be sort of landscapers, hard landscapes, building the gardens, that creative side, the timber frames, the paving, etc. And then obviously, like me, I moved on and I wanted to get involved in planting, because I think, for me, Nick, I don't know what you think of this, but if my budget was going to go into a piece of ground in the back of a garden, I think I want to put it into plants first, trees or something, shrubs.
Yeah, 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 totally agree. And that there's not enough landscapers doing planting schemes. And if only landscapers knew how much there's to be made in doing a planting scheme with your landscape, then it would all add up.
Yeah, massively. What you're saying is it's more of an asset to a garden when it's great when we have the paving and the structure, we can walk through it. But the thing is, Nick, what we don't do, we don't walk around with our heads down all the time looking at the wearing courses. What makes the garden beautiful and what gives it the interest and what makes it special is the actual plants, isn't it?
It is, yeah, that's right. And I've seen on the group that there's a lot of landscapers that do low maintenance, so artificial grass, porcelain paving. If they just added some planting schemes, then, it all makes for a garden. And, I can create low maintenance planting schemes that only need sort of like trimming or maintenance once or twice a year.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, at the moment, I don't want to say it, but I think there's some hard times ahead, and what we need to do as any business, we need to look at those income generating activities, those IGAs, what I call them. And then when we look at an IGA, wouldn't it be great to actually have a landscaper who does a patio, and then all of a sudden he thinks, I'd like to put some plants in here. And he says to the customer, how would you fancy maybe a silver birch, a betulous pendula, a jacquemontii, or a youngi in the garden? And then he goes to a nursery or a garden centre. He picks a tree up. He puts a tree in the garden, which has a total different look. And then he earns some money from it as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
How would you encourage this activity, Nick? What would you say to landscapers that where they want to push into the horticulture side of things? How do you get them to do that? What's the next step?
Well, I think I would probably be inclined to go with the planting schemes, and how I would engage with that is, talk to your customers, because if you can engage the customer in beauty and low maintenance, that's the way forward.
Low maintenance, is that the key word, Nick, is it?
It is a key word.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that it just looks so sterile sometimes when the patio goes in. It looks fantastic. They've got a big lawn area and there's no borders, isn't it? If they suggested about even putting a planting border in for the customers to plant, but it would start encouraging them, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would indeed. Yeah, and with a colour scheme coordinated garden, so like a white scheme. So if you've got like white porcelain paving, and you can do a white planting scheme, and then, as you mentioned, the white silver birch, so everything ties together.
All right, Nick, listen, there we are. You're a young landscaper. You just finished a project, right? And somebody like us come along. There's you and I, and we've put. Well, say for you, you've got like maybe a dozen plants, and you can only pick 6 plants to go in that garden. What would you pick, Nick? Look at those plants now. There's a dozen plants there. You've got a real choice. Maybe some cornus, those dogwoods. You've got some evergreens, some viburnum tinus. There's some grasses, a small tree, a garden tree. Name some trees and some plants. You've only got 6 choices here, Nick. Come on, let's go for it.
So I would start with the foreground planting to start with.
Right. Okay.
So things like pachysandra, heucheras, and ferns, grasses. So things like festuca, blue fox,
Yeah.
Which is a lovely blue tufty grass, Carex evergold, which is a green and yellow variegated evergreen leaf. and then move into the mid-ground planting, which is like the shrubby stuff. So you'd be thinking Viburnum tinus, Skinnia, Kew Green, which has got evergreen leaves and then green buds that open to fragrant white flowers in spring. Skimmia rubellus like that as well.
Right, okay.
And then, and then you would also probably integrate your mid-ground perennials. So plants that will give height would be things like penstemons and Pinacea.
Okay. So, Nick, look, I want to encourage people to start getting involved in planting and looking at this a little bit more than what they're doing. What can we do to really sort of like encourage people? How do we get them to the next step to sort of like smell the coffee? What's the trick, Nick? What's the trick to get them involved?
Feed them with pointers. It's quite hard to describe really on the phone, but I think it's probably a case of me writing a blog on the group page for you to digest.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. We've got to remember this YouTube Live now is actually going live across the country, and there's a lot of members of the public that are very, very good at plants. They probably know a little bit more about the planting world than what the landscapers do. I remember, Nick, let me tell you just a brief story. We worked for a police officer years ago, Carl, and the reason I say he was a police officer because he was very into his work, he was very conscientious, but he had never had no time for the garden. So we built him a patio. I put some beds in and I said to him, you're going to get to love plants. And he said, no, John, I'm fine. I'm not really into plants. But by the time we finished and we left the project, Nick, he got the buzz. He got the bug. He was just massively involved with plants. And it was just to see. So when we talk about plants, we've got to think about the sensories, the smell, the movements, the colour, haven't we?
We have, and also got to think about wildlife. Insects and birds.
Yeah, we got a moral obligation, haven't we, Nick, to ensure that what we're putting into a garden, we want it to come alive, don't we? We want it to be fresh. We want it to look exciting. We want it to look alive. And just a patio in a garden, though it looks good, it's just not alive, is it?
No, exactly.
It's the things that I... What about living walls, Nick, in gardens? Just say a contractor's put a fence up, you've got the boundary fence, got the patio done. What can we do to create a living wall? What ideas could you come up with, Nick, to suggest to these landscapers or even the consumer that listening this morning? What can they put on that feather edge fence that seems to blight the British landscape gardens, doesn't it? We have the patio, the lawn, and the feather edge fence, in the garden shed.
Yeah, living walls are big business down here, particularly around Oxford and London. And some of the planting schemes that are on a living wall are very beneficial to a lot of insects, particularly moths.
Okay. To moths, yeah. And moths, I understand. I think if I'm correct in assuming that moths are probably bigger pollinators than bees, apparently.
They are, yeah.
Yeah, there's something about... I read something about that, Nick, that moths are bigger pollinators. There's more moths. I heard something that there's lots of different varieties in there. And it's so important that we play our part into the environment as consumers and contractors and whatever we're doing. We've got to make our customers aware of this and to encourage it. Maintenance. Do you think people get put off plants, Nick, because of maintenance? Is that what it is?
I think people don't use plants, particularly landscapers, because they say that they don't know anything about them, and if their plants go wrong, then the customer will come after them. And thirdly, they don't know how to look after them. So
no.
I think really in our industry, we need to get wise to low maintenance planting and what you can do to look after them and encourage them. I mean, I work on the principle that whatever a plant takes out of the soil, you need to put back.
Right. Okay.
And that be a mulch, a feed, maxi crop, liquid fertilizer. It's quite expensive, like a liquid seaweed, and it's very high in iron.
Nick, can I just stop you there for a moment? Do you realise? I'm not laughing now. Do you realise what you're actually giving this industry here now with these talks? Do you realise what benefit, how big that benefit is to all these people that are after this knowledge? And I really feel, Nick, that this is what we need to sort of explore a lot more. And you probably don't realise, Nick, that the benefits and what you're doing is great. And what I mean in the words great, it's huge what you're actually doing, because there aren't the people out there to be able to talk about this topic and an in-depth topic and technical what you're doing. So I really appreciate, and for anyone who's watching this channel at the moment, that we really appreciate you coming on this morning and sharing this with us, because I want to continue now, but I just want to make you realise you don't realise what you're actually doing at the moment.
No.
So let me hear more, Nick. I want to hear about your designs. So there we are. What's the first thing that you put on a design, Nick, when you listen to a client brief? What's the first thing that you draw?
I think I probably draw the boundaries. Any obstacles that are in the way or can't be moved, those are what I put in first.
Okay. So the permanent features, yeah?
Yeah, the boundaries.
Right, okay. So the fencing, the hedging. So when we look at a boundary, Nick, and we look at, you're going to have some gardens, you're going to have a multiple. So in my garden, I'm lucky enough that I've got quite a walled garden down the driveway, but where the river is, I've got railings. And round the railing, I've got this log shed. What can I stick on those railings to sort of like, they're nearly 6 feet, 1.8, and they're about 100 millimeters apart. Could I put some everlasting sweet pea, or would I run a beans? What would I put on there? What could I put on there?
I would put low maintenance climbers. So things like Rosa Banksii lutea, which is semi-evergreen and spring flowering.
Right.
I would put on evergreen clematis, which is summer flowering and winter flowering. So the summer flowering variety is Clematis armandii, and the winter flowering, which flowers November to March, is Clematis shurosa Wisley cream.
I know that one. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, look, Nick, this is such a fascinating conversation, because we're talking about climbers, and you're talking about plants that flower at different times of the year. So seasonal flash, isn't it, of colour?
Yeah. I usually, when I do a planting scheme, I usually do something so that there will be at least one plant, maybe 2 or 3, that flower every month of the year.
Ah, right. So you've got a bit of a rule of thumb that you follow as well, then, isn't there?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So listen, Nick, let's go back a little bit now. You know that I did an HND in garden design, but I'm not up to your standard. So there we are. We used to do all those plant identification. So let's just say let's look at January. What can we put in the garden? Just not quickly, but let's just go over it. We're going to go for the months now. So we go into January. We got those Galanthus nivalis, the snowdrops, the colchicums around about that time. Tell me a little bit more. Come on, let's hear it.
So you've got the Christmas roses, which are the hellebore. The national collection, or one of the national collections, and I can recommend that any members or landscape that want to see these roses. And then there's a place just outside Evesham called Harvington. And
yes.
they've got the Harvington High. which are the double varieties of Hellebores.
Right. Okay. So
These are evergreens and they're perennials, and they come in multitude of colours.
right, Nick, I'm going to pick up on something now because I want to just sort of bring you in. We lost you a little bit then. So, look, Nick, let's get real here now, right? And I'm not being sort of into anyone, but some people don't necessarily know what a perennial or an evergreen is, do they? You know, so
No.
and we have to be fair about it because it's not their industry. So when we talk about an evergreen, in simple terms, Nick, just sum it up for us. Evergreen.
Conifer is regarded as a evergreen.
A true evergreen.
And then shrubs that hold on to their leaves all year round.
Right, okay. So we're talking, so if we look at maybe like a laurel, is laurel an evergreen?
Yeah, laurel is classed as evergreen.
What about a beech hedge, Nick? How would we, deciduous, I believe, isn't it?
It's deciduous, yeah. But they do hold on to their leaves through the winter months. And then when the new leaves start to emerge, as they unfurl, they push the old leaves off.
Yeah, Nick, I don't want to be demeaning to anyone. Again, if this is about education, I think this is the reason that a lot of people don't get involved, because when you have people that work outdoors, it doesn't mean necessarily to say that they were good in the classroom. So when we look at these words like evergreen, perennial, deciduous, biannual, right? We look at these words and it's frightening, Nick. It was frightening for me. So in order to sort of encourage people to come to the industry, we need live streams like this. So can you run through, if I say a word, you tell me what it means briefly. So deciduous, rather.
Drops its leaves.
Simple, drops its leaves. Evergreen.
Holds on to its leaves all year round.
Annual plants, and give us some names of some plants that people might identify.
Annual would be classed as a plant that you sow from seed at the beginning of the year, and then it dies at the first frost.
Okay. So would we say, like, what would we have, like, name some annuals? Because, like, would we have like geraniums? Would they be an annual?
Busy lilies or impatiens, lobelia, nasturtiums.
Right.
Those are all annuals.
So those nasturtiums are the ones that really flow out those baskets or those pots in it and have is it an orange flower on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, orange, red, or yellow.
Okay. So what is a biennial, Nick? A biennial.
A biennial or biannual?
A biannual, right, rather.
So a biannual would be a plant that sorry, I'm feeling I've got a seizure coming on.
Oh, okay. If you need to go, Nick.
Yeah, I need to go.
Okay, I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick.
All right.
Well, that was our Nicholas McCarthy. Nick hasn't been very well for a number of years now because he's been on kidney dialysis. He doesn't mind me telling you about that, and he's also had heart surgery. So he wasn't very well then. I hope that there's somebody with him. We're going to phone back now in a minute, and I'm not going to say sorry for it because Nick's come on here. Just sorry that Nick's actually going through that. Yeah, he'll be fine, John. He will be absolutely fine. He's been through absolutely hell and back, and he's prepared to come on here and maybe got a little bit with me, like I am, got a little bit excited. So don't worry about that. He'll be absolutely fine, but we just got to make sure that he's okay. And I hope Michelle's there. I don't know if Alison is around. She can give Michelle a ring now and just check. If you can just bear with me for a moment, we're going to just make sure that Nick's okay a moment. 1 second, I'm going to be back now. Right, my apologies for that, and I'm sorry I had to go then. We just wanted to make sure that Nick is okay. We're not sure whether Michelle is with him at the moment, his wife. Nick wanted to join this morning. He wants to share his knowledge with you. Unfortunately, this last year, it's been really difficult for the last couple of years, to be honest. And he's been through hell and back, to say the least. Heart surgery, kidney dialysis. And Nick's such a lovely guy, such a nice guy, and his knowledge is absolutely second to none. And well, I don't want to have any drama on the live feed this morning, but Nick wanted to come on here and share. He wanted to talk about his plans, about design. I've done some absolutely amazing work, and I'm going to be sharing that with you soon. We'll just make sure that he's okay now. Alison's just checking that out now. So thanks for joining this morning, guys, and my apologies for that. There's drama with me all the time, isn't there? Like, you know, I'm sorry about this morning as well. I'm sure Nick's going to be okay, but we'll just check that out. Look, it's so important that we try and bring as many people to these live streams as regular as possible. And I hope that I'm going to go up and see Nick possibly next week. Go up and go and see him, and maybe go down to his allotment and see what he's got going on there. And I've kept promising to go up and see him, and not that I actually broke my promise. It's just been difficult to try and get up there at the right time, certainly through the COVID period as well. It just seems to be that none of us seems to have any time these days when you're running a business. Whether you're running a business or whether you're not running a business, life is difficult. It's not easy at all, and it's you're met with difficulties on a day-to-day basis. We're going to check out Nick's. That's what I'm just waiting to see if Alison's just going to just check, make sure that he's okay. Look, if you've got anything to say, actually, what we were talking about this morning, it was interesting to read what people are saying. Lee from Liverpool. Good morning, John. Lee from Andy Groundworks, Liverpool. Hope is well. Enjoy your Easter weekend. John Ward, I'm sure he's going to be fine. John Ward was talking to somebody about GM Landscapes. That's what I put sealer on, but it protects the paving, not the colours. Interesting. What we've talked about the sealers before, Matthew Cooper. That's all for your information. I don't know what that was about. It's good to see people on here. John Ward, a truer word spoken. Customers all under false information when told about no such finish, just colour enhancement for a period of time. Do you know, I think John Ward, right, and all of you guys out here this morning, all of you that are actually watching this morning, got to be so careful about what you're using and how good it is, and that's why these forums are good. The videos are good. All those other guys are out there, they're doing videos about all these sorts of things, but the only thing that we got to remember is that time will tell when we're trying to get information and advice on products, what to use and where to use it and how to use it, and really understanding. I think there's a massive lack in information, because all companies do on the back of packages, it's all about litigation and about passing the buck on the backs of packages. If you're a manufacturer or a supplier out there and you want to get your information out there, give me a shout. We'll talk about your product and we'll share it. But we want to see the evidence of how good it is and whether we should use it, because people take recommendations aren't always a good thing, are they, John? When we look at a recommendation and somebody gives us a reference, and they'll give us a reference about somebody that they've used or a family friend, and it's not necessarily good. And the same applies with products in the industry. Sometimes those products that we use aren't that necessarily that good as well. I'm going to be introducing to a company called styled.co.uk soon. We're going to be talking to them. Let's just read what John Ward says. So it's always important to bring all of you on, all right? It's always important to you, but John Ward is on here regular, and I respect him, and I respect what he's talking about. He says, I've stopped about personal reasons, let the lads do the hard work now. Be careful what you tell customers, oversell yourself, never the product, in my experience. That's a massive point, John Ward. I think that's absolutely correct. I was talking to Tony, our customer, this week. I've got to say it. I've got to be honest with you. And Tony asked me about slate and about trying to keep it looking dark. I think it's so difficult with slate because it's so dense. And I used Aspects. You know, I work with Aspects quite a bit. I used Aspects back to black, and it didn't last long. Okay, and I've got to be honest, it didn't last long. 2 or 3 weeks, and then it started wearing off on the slate. What we don't want to be using with any product, though the slate is dense, we still want it to breathe. and we don't want to be using what we call a topical sealer, where it keeps everything down and it doesn't breathe through, and that can be really problematic. I think just got to be careful, but I think there's not the information is always on the back of the packages in general, on the backs of the products. But they don't tell us about how. They tell us how good it is, okay? They tell us how good it is. How good it is, I don't really know. Unless you've actually used it and you've gone the test of time, we don't know nothing about it, really, do we? So, if you've got any information about any of the products that are actually being used, what's your experience with different products, that's what we need. We need to hear from you. I think generally, as a whole, the landscape industry is changing massively. The knowledge is being passed on. And it's whether we're prepared to actually listen to some people and their experiences in what they're using. I've certainly changed my methods of laying paving over the last few years for many reasons, and it's something that I probably want to go in depth with you and talk about this in the future. We've got a meeting with Styled Paving. All stone is natural and resistant to any product which lies on the surface. Let's just read what John says there. It's going to be the John show at this before the way it's going. All stone is natural and resistant to any product which lies on the surface, just like paint, it can wear off. Yeah, absolutely. John Ward, you've hit the nail on the head there. We've got reconstituted simulated bath stone on our house, and there was a few chips in there, and a couple of years ago Bellway decided that they wanted to cover it, and they put a coating on it, and it's just peeled now. Granted it's 12 years on, but they told us it would never ever peel, but it definitely has peeled, and I'm starting to get most of it off now. There are areas where it has worked, okay, but there are areas where it hasn't worked, and that's like a coating on the top. So I'm not going to take off what isn't broken, but what's broken is how it's peeled. So where it's peeled, I'm going to take off. In certain section, there's one section that goes all the way around where it's unaffected. So it's like a band of stone, natural stone. So, well, not natural stone, it's reconstituted bath stone in appearance. So some areas I've pressure washed it, I've put gel on it, I've powered, sanded it. I'm going to get that off, and I'm going to start going over the top. But like John says, when you start putting things on the surface, it's not good. You want things that's going to ingress into the stone. And what I was talking about was slate, and slate is a difficult product to actually find anything that will go into there. Anything you're going to use, start using breathable products. You can use water-based breathable products. We've had Ryan from Elements Shield on here talking about that. And also you can get solvent sealers, and in my opinion, and Ryan tells me as well, that in some cases solvent sealers are better. With a water base, what's not going to happen is it's going to repel the water again. Got a bit of an update. Yeah, we've got a big thumbs up. Nick's okay. So Nick, if you are watching this morning, big thank you to Nicholas Mccarthy and everybody who's watching this morning. Nick, our landscape designer and plantsman, he's okay. Okay, I think I was asking too many questions, but he answered them. And that was the thing. I'm going to give Nick a ring after, make sure that he's all right. And I'm going to start doing some more stuff with Nick, maybe some live streams, okay? We're going to record them on Teams or Zoom, and we'll be able to get that out with you, so you'll be able to watch that, and you'll be able to see some of the things that Nick does. He's absolutely an amazing guy. He's a wonderful human being, but his knowledge is absolutely second to none, so we can get him on here. Slate, and that's why it is used as lead on roads. Is that what says lead? Sorry, John, Ted on roads. It's impervious to water. Yeah, absolutely. It's always a difficult thing to sort of. What Tony asked this week, John, one of our customers, tiles on road. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. He asked me, the eyes again. He asked me what we could do to sort of give the slate a look. And I know that for years, John, I think people years ago used to sort of put some sort of oil on it, didn't they, to sort of give it that in-depth look. If it was like that polished look about it. I know that there are some. If you've got any opinions on this, let's hear off you. It's not just about me, it's about you. I want to hear about what you have to say about that. Look, it's a good live stream this morning. It was a bit chaotic at the start because of the signal, but I want to know off you, was it a good sound? Was it a good audio? Okay, in respect of, because I'm actually got it on flight mode, so I'm not using my 4G. I'm actually going off the internet. I want to know if the audio was good, but it was a bit difficult with the phone call. It does drop off unless we've got to start using a landline for those calls. And the other thing I want to know is, was the image good? Was it quality? Did it break off? Did it pixelate at some point? They big words that we use now. It's amazing the words we use off the intro. Let's have a quick recap of where we were this morning. We were joined this morning by Nicholas Mccarthy. It was good to have Nick on here. He's a guy that his knowledge is second to none about planting and about paving and designs. I'm not sure if Nick's doing anything at the moment, but if you're actually watching this live stream this morning, Nicholas Mccarthy is without doubt a person that you probably need on board if you're looking for some advice certainly with the plant side of things. What we've done with Nick is that I asked Nick about the importance of learning about plants, and I really felt that sometimes with landscapers in our industry, what we tend to do is that we're frightened of some of the words because what you'll find is that it doesn't mean to say that people working in this industry aren't intelligent enough or can't read. They can read, but I think sometimes we get frightened of those words that we're not familiar with because we don't use them. But we use words more and more now because of the internet and our accessibility to these words, so we can use these words. So there's nothing wrong with that. So what Nick was doing this morning, we were categorizing the type of plants you can use in the garden, the annuals, the biennials, the evergreens, the deciduous, and so on and so on. And we start categorizing and start understanding. And we actually asked how important it was. We asked Nicholas McCartney how important it was to words I'm frightened of. Yeah, absolutely. We all are, John. And I think we're all frightened of things that we don't know. Anything that's taboo, we're frightened of. But the thing is not to be frightened, not to worry about it, not let it be taboo. Is what we need to do is embrace the unknown. I'll pay you next week. Yes. For what? For what? No, it's when we don't know about something, there is a real fear that it's going to come back and bite us on the arse. There's nothing wrong with it, you know. My spelling isn't great, and going to college and sort of learning about plants and the Latin names, it helped me to improve my paving. Is my grammar good? No, it's not good now. It's not. It's just not what I do. I did a talk years ago at Glebe about 2-3 years ago, and Alison structured everything and wrote it all down for me, but I failed. What I'm able to do is just let things fly and just let it roll out as and when. But I still need to structure when I'm talking about things in that way. We all learn and we all take things in a different way, all of us. It doesn't matter who you are, but it doesn't mean to say that there's something wrong with you. It's just the way you're made. It's just the way you're wired and you're figured out. And what we need to do is not to be frightened of those words. It's good to make mistakes because people see the honesty. It doesn't mean to say because you make a mistake about a word that you don't know about your industry. Even in the industry that we're in now, in the paving industry, there's words that I didn't know about, I didn't understand. And even now, there's words that are coming in because industry make words up, okay? They use these words. You'll see the TV, they use these words on a regular basis. I can't give an example of one at the moment, but you see it on the news, and the next thing you know, we're all using these words. And it's just the progression. It's just what actually happens. So there's nothing wrong with using words. That's what we got to start realizing, recognizing that these big long words, it doesn't really matter, okay? As long as we start to try and understand them, but trying to get them out, it doesn't matter. I'm good with my hands and not with my mouth. Yeah, you are, Lee, absolutely. And but you are good with your mouth. You're an intelligent guy, Lee. There's a lot to you, but just because you don't talk a lot doesn't mean to say that you haven't got those words inside. TD Landscapes, good morning all. This live stream's been going on for quite a while now, but what I'm trying to encourage is not to worry and not to fear of the unknown and the taboo, and that's how we start learning. And you'll see on this channel with people like Lee Andy and John Ward and Justin from Brick Right that we can learn loads from each other. We learn on here and we learn together, and by learning together, right, it makes it a lot more easier on here, so we can go away after these live streams and start picking these things up. John Ward says, I read books, not top shelf lads, to better my vocabulary, to be accepted certain environments to get the work. There you go. That's what we call using the vernacular, the industry vernacular. Vernacular meaning the way to describe the industry that you're actually in. So using the vernacular for this industry, like horticulture vernaculars, is a great way of learning. Okay, I couldn't even spell that at the moment. Vernacular. I'll tell you what, John Ward. I'll tell you now. You know, I've gone to Dubai a few times, and I'm actually thinking about reading the Quran. Okay, you can get the Quran in English. I'm actually thinking about reading the Quran because I think that sometimes what we don't, sometimes, like I said, when it's taboo, we don't want to talk about things. But I want to learn and understand about other cultures, other creed. It's what I do. I just love it. It doesn't matter whether it's, even if it was in Germany, I just love the German people. I love what they do. Like anything in life, we can't generalize. We have to just look at individuals and how they treat us. But I think I'm going to read the Quran. I want to learn a little bit about that and try and understand it a little bit more, because we see the news, don't we, going on, and do we really understand the history behind the war in Ukraine and what's going on there? Getting a little bit deep now, but I